Ahoy, ahoy, kings and queens, and welcome back to the channel. Queens, like, dude, there's probably 2 women who watch this channel. But anyway, I just got back from RMAC about a week ago, and it was a very long drive from the Chicagoland area to Utah and back, but totally worth it. Now, it is pretty difficult to create and get content when you're trying to shoot in the pro division, but I did manage to get a little bit here, and what I wanted to do was kind of go around and get some of the more known people and ask them the same question I asked them at NAC, which was kind of a 2-part question, and that was, what are some pieces of advice you would give to a newcomer coming to a airgun tournament, and what are some pieces of advice you would give to an experienced guy coming to an airgun tournament? Now, like I always say, I'm just a regular Joe who happens to practice shooting a lot and has found myself being kind of decent in competition, but those 2 questions, listening to these guys answer them, has helped me a lot. So my aim here is to try to help you guys watching at home to kind of maybe break the ice a little bit with yourself, especially if you're a newcomer and want to start getting into competitions. It's not that scary. You can totally do it. I had a blast at RMAC. Met a bunch of new friends, hung out with a bunch of old friends, strengthened my relationships with my teammates at FX, so on and so forth. It was awesome. And the road trip, honestly, while long, was super awesome. I've got some footage from that. I'm going to try to put something together. But back to the topic here. I've got a pretty star-studded bunch of interviews here for you guys. So let's check those out. All right. So we are going to kick off these same interviews I did at NAC with the same question. And today we've got Adam Michael, the reigning champ from NAC, baby. All right, so anyway, the question is, what's a piece of advice you would give a new guy trying to break into kind of the competitive airgun world, coming to an event like this? And then on the flip side, question part B is, what would you give the advice of, to an experienced guy coming to one of these?
On newcomers, if you're sitting at home just thinking about it, like I was a few years ago, just get up and do it. I mean,
100%.
If you're an airgun shooter and you love to shoot air guns, this is the place to be. The scenery out here is ridiculous. The competition is stiff, but hey, we're having a blast out here. It is the place to be.
100%.
On the older side and going through, I'm getting older myself, and it's like, take care of your eyes, because it's getting harder for me to see those targets out there. Good optics.
I haven't heard that one before. That's a new piece of advice.
Yeah.
Most people are like, oh, share your knowledge, blah, blah, blah.
That
but
too.
That's a good piece of advice right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's good to get a bunch of different people's perspectives, because you're going to get a plethora of just different and good advice. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah. I mean, simple as something being at work. I wear my safety glasses all the time at work, because if I take one to the eyeball, this is over with. But
all right.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, you heard it here. Protect that vision, baby.
Share your knowledge as a, experienced shooter also. It's been an awesome ride, and I'm looking forward to the future, that's for sure.
All right, man.
And I'm ready to run it back to back, hopefully.
Well, I'm glad I'm not in your relay, dude. All right, thanks for that, man.
Thank you.
From the Puerto Rico
Extreme
Outdoors channel. Abner, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then I'll ask you 2 questions.
Okay, I'm Abner Almenas, and this is my boy, Abner Gabriel. We are from Puerto Rico. I guide Iguana Hunt, and I'm an airgun dealer over there in Puerto Rico.
Perfect. And actually, I found your channel because you were one of the first guys to have the Panthera.
Exactly.
So that's how I kind of got to know who you are. So here's my 2 questions for you, and it's a 2-parter, kind of the same question. What is a piece of advice you'd give a new guy coming out to one of these events, just getting started in airgun competition? And then on the flip side, what is a piece of advice that you would give an experienced guy coming out to one of these events?
Okay, first of all, you gotta live the experience, because this is all a learning process. I mean, like, you can practice as much as you want if you're far from here and there's not the same wind elevation and that kind of stuff. So you gotta live experiences to get better.
100%.
Because if you're new on this, you're gonna have different results everywhere you go. So you got to live different experiences in order, to get better.
Yep, and that's all going to make you a better rifleman, to understand what the elevation is going to do to your point of impact and humidity and all that stuff. So, okay, great point, especially for the newcomers. I'm about to go and shoot my Panthera for the first time. I've been here for like 3 days, so we'll figure that out. Okay, so then the next thing, what about an experienced guy?
Experienced guys, you will see everything all over the place. We just enjoy it.
All right. So the main message is have fun, right?
Yeah, you got to enjoy it, because as soon as you just stress out for everything that is happening about around you, you're gonna screw up.
Perfect. Yep. And we don't want that. So
no.
All right. Great advice from Abner here. Thanks, dude.
My pleasure.
Thank you. All right. So I've got actually one of my internet heroes here. This is Matthias from the Airbucks channel. If you have not checked out his channel, he gives a ton of awesome technical advice for tuning guns, fixing leaks, doing barrel harmonics, and all types of stuff. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll hit you with 2 questions.
Yes, I'm Matthias. I run the Airbucks channel. Probably, maybe you have heard of it a little bit. Come out of Belgium, and I like the tech stuff mostly, and shooting, of course, a lot of fun.
Perfect. Yep, and just great content from you. So I'm going to ask you the same 2 questions that I asked everybody at NAC and some people already today. What is one piece of advice you'd give to a newcomer coming to one of these events, which I kind of heard that you might be in that category?
Yeah, correct. This is actually my main first event that I show up to, because where I live, we don't have many events. And as I mentioned, I'm more into the tech stuff. I like taking things apart, putting them back together, showing people how to do it.
Perfect.
So yeah, RMAC was a choice to come, like some bucket list item that I really wanted to do. So I'm actually here as a first timer, and I was nervous at the beginning coming here, but the main big advice, I think, when my nerves calm down, is just to enjoy everything, to enjoy the surroundings. Don't think about too much about the scores. Just meet people like we meet, and
make new friends, man.
Have a lot of fun and make new friends. Yeah.
Okay, and so what would you say to like a experienced guy coming here?
An experienced guy, they have maybe, I don't know how to give them advice, but they have a lot more experience, especially here in RMAC with the wind coming through the hills.
Oh yeah.
They know already that in the morning it's coming down, in the afternoon it's going back, and which relays are maybe the better ones. But scoring is done fairly because everybody shoots at the same conditions in their squad, so it's all fine. But I think same advice for everybody. We're here to enjoy, we're here to have fun, to make friends. So everybody just relax, shoot your thing, and don't be too competitive. That's it.
Absolutely.
Really enjoy it.
Well, absolute pleasure meeting you, man. I'm getting to meet all my internet guys that I've seen and watched their channels for years.
For me as well.
So this is super cool. So.
My house in Europe, I don't see many people, and then I come here and suddenly I realize many people know me from my channel.
Oh yeah, man.
And that's awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a huge steward of just technical information in the airgun community. So pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. I got the man Izzy here. He's going to answer the same 2 questions that I have been asking everybody. But first, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Hey guys, Izzy, last name Sabreros. I'm here with Donnie FL, Saber Tactical, Karma, and I'm also representing the pellet shop as well. So got a nice little bunch there.
And keep an eye out on Karma. There's some special sauce coming in the works here. So you'll see that soon. But let's ask you the 2 same questions. So what is a piece of advice that you would give newcomers coming to a big event who might maybe even be a little intimidated to come to something like this? And then what's a piece of advice you'd give to OG legends and experienced guys coming to an event like this?
All right. So for the newcomers, I would say don't overthink everything. Just come here, shoot, have a good time. You start overthinking things, you start freaking out, and then that's when you start messing up. I did it the first year I came out here 2 years ago, and I did all right, but I could have done better. That's just because I was kind of panicking a little and getting my heartbeat up a little. So, you know, your heartbeat goes up, then you shoot bad. Now, for shooters that have been in this industry already, obviously, you know, a lot of them come here very focused to do what they do best, and it's great that they do that. But sometimes they just focus everything out of the picture there, and you know they put themselves first, and you know we're all here for each other, and we got to help each other out.
100%. Yep. I would agree with that, and I would still consider myself a newcomer. Yeah, I've been shooting a long time, and I'm used to firearms and paintball tournaments, but this is my second big pro rodeo. My first was NAC, so still learning a lot from guys like you. So definitely thank you for the advice, Izzy. And,
anytime.
Happy to make friends with you along the way here, man.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, I am here with legendary shooter Boyd Linder, who is
legendary.
He's a legendary shooter. He's going to beat me in PRS for sure.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
But he is a NRL 22 specialist and a PRS guy, and why don't you do a little bit of a better intro for yourself than I just did.
That's pretty good. I'm Boyd. I like to shoot guns, big guns, small guns.
We
Fast
like
guns.
guns.
If there's a trigger, I want to pull it.
100%. I'm with you, brother. All right, so let's ask you the same two questions I've been asking everybody else. So what's a piece of advice you'd give to kind of a newcomer coming, you know, wanting to break into competition air guns? And on the flip side of that, part B is what kind of advice would you give to an experienced guy coming to a gig like this?
For the new person, I would say come out and shoot. I think the biggest thing I always hear is, I want to wait, I want to go and watch and see what happens, or watch videos on the internet. You're going to learn way more from actually shooting your first match than you could ever learn watching 1,000 videos. People are friendly. Just come out and give it a shot.
You know what? I'll add to that. I recently got into doing local NRL 22 matches, and I had never done it before, so I was a little intimidated. And you know what, man? After just going to that first match, no sweat. Everybody was super nice. It's easy to understand. You got to get out there and get the experience, and then you'll feel way more comfortable. Like the second one you go to, no sweat. So, okay. So what about
that intimidation is self-inflicted.
100%.
Right? You don't get that from the competitors. Everyone's willing to help out, show you what they're doing, lend you their gear. Just come out and shoot.
Yep. Don't get in your head about it at all. Yep. All right. So what about the experienced guys? What would you say to that?
For the experienced guys, for me personally, I think the important thing is to remember why we started. And that's because we came to have fun. So I'm an ultra competitive person. I get that. I definitely come to win. I want to win. But at the end of the day, this is supposed to be fun. And if you're not having fun, then go do something else.
100%. Well, I agree with both of those. And thanks for that knowledge, man.
Thank you, man.
See you out there. All right, I got Travis Whitney here. He is the owner?
No,
no.
I'm the engineer.
You are the engineer of JTS Airguns. So they are kind of, I think, a newcomer on the market.
For pellets, yes.
For pellets. So we're seeing a lot of their pellets. A lot of the guys are actually using them in competition here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and your compressors and some of your other offerings?
Yeah, so this year is our first year we're breaking out in the pellet market.
Okay.
We have a full line from 177 all the way up to 30 and a variety of weights. And in between weights too.
Yeah, we see a lot of, especially with the 22, quite a few different weights, all the way from about 18 all the way up to 25.39 with I think 2 or 3 in between. So
yeah, that's right. So if you got a gun that shoots 18s well, but it doesn't have enough power to shoot the 25s, we got little steps in between.
Perfect.
You know.
Well, I think that's what the market needs, is just a lot of variety, because you know everybody's barrel is going to like a certain weight and whatever. So. Okay, awesome stuff. And then, so let me ask you the two questions that I've been asking everybody.
Okay.
That's going to be a two-parter. What's a piece of advice you'd give to maybe a newcomer looking to kind of break into the tournament scene? And then what's a piece of advice you'd give to like an OG experienced guy coming out here?
Okay, yeah, so like a new guy breaking in, what I would do is, before I'd even enter a tournament, I would attend one. And just ask a lot of questions. Ask people a lot of questions. Look at what people are shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what ammo, what gun. Look at the guys who are in the top 5 and all the kind of, see what they got, what they're
100%.
using. Ask a lot of questions.
And you know what? I find that most of the guys out here will be happy to try to help
share.
you. And you know what? I've heard people say just go out and do it, and I've heard people with that approach too, to say come and check it out. And I could go either way, but I think having the intel is going to help you.
So
yeah, I think you're going to do better at your first one if you come and get the intel first and like watch and then come to the next one. You'll probably do better than just breaking into it. Either approach is totally great, but I think that's good advice. So what would you give to the experienced guys coming out here? What piece of advice do you have for them?
Okay, so like an experienced guy who's already done it multiple times and stuff, the one thing you really want to do is practice. You can never have enough gun time, you know.
Yep.
And don't be afraid to change things up. You know, a lot of people get stuck in one thing, you know, like I'm using this scope, this ammo, this gun,
this velocity.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to change things up, because you just might find that little edge that's going to get you over that hump.
Yep. And I think
get you on a podium.
Most of the more experienced guys, myself included, have found that secret sauce just by messing around. And sometimes it's totally by accident.
Yep.
I mean, some of the best inventions on Earth have been just by accident.
Exactly.
So, okay, really excellent advice there. JTS Airguns, check them out. Thank you so much, Travis.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All right, I got Ton Jones here from Air Force Airguns, real legend in the sport, and I'm going to ask him the same two questions. But before I do, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Ton Jones. I used to host the TV show Auction Hunters on Spike TV, a wildlife animal wrangler for Discovery Channel, National Geographic, Animal Planet, just pretty much been around the industry, air guns, firearms, and wildlife my whole life.
And you have seen him on TV before, and that's huge to have all of that stuff, but also be a proponent for the airgun community. So very valued member of the community. So as a valued member of the community, let's ask you the same two questions. What's a piece of advice you would give to newcomers wanting to break into competition airguns, and a piece of advice for the experienced guys also?
And I've been asked that question a few times, and the answer, surprisingly, is the same for both. And it's actually quite simple. When it comes down to shooting, do not worry about how everybody else is shooting. Only compete against yourself. Only try to make yourself better. Don't worry about anything else. Just try to better yourself. And if you only worry about that, you become better overall.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've heard that piece of advice from Nikolai, from Turek, and it is a very potent piece of advice. For me, it's kind of like, I just want to do better than I did at the last one, and then just keep progressing from there. So, okay, excellent. Very good advice. Ton.
It makes a difference.
Absolutely, dude. So he's going to be shooting big bore and bench, and good luck to you, my friend.
Thank you. Hey, you guys are awesome.
Cheers. All right, we just finished up the speed challenge where Lauren Parsons and I went head to head a couple of times. And what'd you think of that?
That was a ton of fun. It was my first time doing the speed challenge here at Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge, and it was a bunch of fun.
This was my first time doing it ever. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then I'll hit you with my two questions.
Perfect. My name is Lauren Parsons. I am a field target shooter, bench press shooter, NRL shooter. Kind of, if it shoots air guns, I shoot it. I work for Air Guns of Arizona, and you can find most of my content on either Air Guns of Arizona's YouTube channel or on my Instagram and my Facebook pages, just at Lauren Parsons. So yeah, I'm a shooter.
Perfect. And you know what? Shout out to Tristan at Atlas Airguns for encouraging me to come and meet Lauren.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, really good guy. Okay, so the two questions. What is a piece of advice you would give to maybe somebody who watches our YouTube videos and says, man, I'd really like to go out and do this, but I'm a little scared or I haven't done it before, so a newcomer? And then on the flip side of that, what's your piece of advice for an experienced person coming to one of these events?
I want to give same advice to both, basically. Don't overthink it and don't overthink it. The newcomer, though, ask questions. Nobody's scary. Nobody is going to be too good to answer you or anything. Honestly, ask as many questions as you possibly can. Steal with your eyes on things they do. And I want to tell the pro or OG people, help those newcomers out. Those are the people growing our sport, and those are the people that are continuing to ensure we have these great events. So help out everybody whenever you're at a range.
Well said. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right, we got Abby Casey here. She is a predominantly big bore shooter and hunter, right?
Yes.
And she's got some insights here, but why don't we just tell everybody about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm shooting for UMRX, and I also am a field producer for American Air Gunner, which means I travel all over the country, and actually we're going to Africa this year, so I can add world to that. And we hunt with every kind of air gun out there, and we're hunting all kinds of different animals, but obviously we love to come to competitions, and my background is in Olympic style shooting. So that would be like a regular 22 and also the 177 positional
Is it like
shooting.
10 meter or?
Yeah, the air gun stuff is 10 meters. And, you know, we're the goofy guys standing out there like this, kicking out the hip.
You're putting the pictures online, and then people who don't know anything about shooting go, that's a horrible stance. You don't know what you're doing. And they are really the ones who don't know what they're doing.
The keyboard warriors are there. They're like, why are you standing like this? And I'm
They've
like,
obviously never shot 10 meter. They've obviously never shot NRA high power. They don't. Yeah, it's hilarious. I see that all the time. It's funny that you mentioned that.
Yep. And that, you know, there's a million different ways to shoot, and there's a million different kinds of positions out there, and it just depends on what you're shooting that you're applying that to. I crisscross with what I'm doing as far as if it's a PRS style shooting, I'd be more aggressive stance, but if I'm standing there trying to be real still, I'm going to kick my hip out, and it's going to be like that.
I learned that by dabbling in high power myself. So but it is hilarious when you put those pictures up and people are like, that's not how you should be shooting.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay.
It's not that common.
No, but you do see it in those disciplines. So let me go ahead and ask you these two questions. So it's kind of a two-piece question here. What's a piece of advice you would give to a newcomer coming to airgun events like this, looking to break into the sport? And then on the flip side of that, what is a piece of advice you might give an experienced person coming to one of these events?
Right. So as a newcomer coming into the airgun world, it is so overwhelming. I mean, there's a million different kinds of air guns out there. I mean, do your research. Just take it with a grain of salt. You know, you don't need to go out there and buy a $2,000 air gun if you're just getting started. There's plenty of options out there. Like Umarex has the Gauntlet, and I absolutely love that. That's a tack driver, and that's still going to run you like around $600. And there's lots of modifications that you can do to that air rifle.
Yep.
My advice for somebody getting into it new with that is, you know, just make the leap, purchase something, and once you start to play with it, you're just going to learn. The more experience you get with it, the more time you put on the guns, you'll start to pick it up, because when you first get into it, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. I mean, there's all kinds of weird words like regulator, and there's the velocity stuff, and what the heck is a power plenum, and I mean, adjusting the hammer springs. But best thing to do is get on the gun and just put time on it.
I'll even add to that. Also, just read everything you can. There's tons of forums and everything out there. You can learn all the lingo and stuff like that. Okay, so cool. So that's for the newcomer. What about the experienced OG shooters? What would you say to them?
Coming into a competition?
Yeah.
Get here early, because traveling with air guns are finicky. You know,
True.
You want to get out here, and like where I came from, I'm at sea level, and here we're really high up in the mountains. So I had a big difference in where my impact was happening. And TSA is generally not gentle on your air guns.
She actually has a great video about how to travel with your air guns too. I watched that one recently.
Yeah, so just get here early and make sure you get on the range and practice a little bit and make sure everything's still dialed, because like I said, TSA is not easy on your stuff. And don't let the match jitters ever get to you. You know, everybody's out here doing the same thing. Everybody's super nice, though.
Yeah.
I know there's like a big block. Everybody gets really nervous. Oh, I don't want to go shoot a match because I'm not shooting good enough. No, everybody in the airgun community is very welcoming, and they're more than willing to help you here on the line.
Totally.
You just got to put in the time. You got to get over that feeling. And then once you're here, you're like, oh, why the heck was I so worried?
It's like a big party, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Just show up. Everybody's super nice, and you'll have a great time.
All right. Thank you so much for those wise words.
Absolutely. Thank
Cheers,
you.
and great to meet you.
You too.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. We will catch you on part 2, which is coming soon. I will put those together, and we've got quite a few heavy hitters in that one too. So you're going to want to tune in for that. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.